This has everyone turning heads as week 2 of the preseason presented another layer to the QB2 storyline, backed up by the numbers and Kevin O'Connell's recent quotes, as week 3 to close out the preseason is sure to bring an intriguing finale to this story. We're going to break down all that in this episode of Vikings Digest, but first, if you're enjoying this Vikings content, you want to stay up to date, and you want to help us reach our goal of 2,000 subscribers before the start of the regular season, make sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you don't miss any of the updates as they drop. And with that, let's hop straight into it, which is that twice is a pattern. So in looking at the QB stats for Minnesota's unfortunate week 2 preseason loss to the New England Patriots, when we look at the numbers for the quarterbacks there, you see Max Brosmer right there led the passing for the Vikings with 15 of 27, 156 yards, averaging 5.8 yards per pass. Did throw an interception there on that final drive. Did take 4 sacks, unfortunately. Posted a passer rating of 57. Then going on to Brett Rippon, 7 for 11, 83, 7.5 average, not scoring any touchdowns, not throwing any picks, but also not taking any sacks, posting a passer rating of 86.6. And then rounding out it at the bottom is Sam Howell, going 1 for 5 for 13 yards, 2.6 only, and then for an interception as well as a 0 passer rating. So it was a very tough day for Minnesota, moving the football, executing, tackling as well. It was a very rough spot on many points in the first half as far as tackling goes. Both those touchdowns were a result of very piss poor tackling, and Kevin O'Connell called that out when he joined the broadcast in the third quarter with Paul Allen and Ben Lieber as well, talking about many things. He did also have a really funny moment where he dropped an F-bomb live on air, which was absolutely hilarious, and it was absolutely validated with how frustrated he was getting with the flags they were taking, with the way the defense was playing, with the offense as well, with taking the false starts. It was just not a great day at the ballpark for a preseason game for Minnesota, and as well as the fans just seeing a very low scoring game for Minnesota as well, not getting the ball moving as much, just only scoring field goals. Will Reichard had a really good game with all the reports that were coming out of how people were worried about him heading into this season. He seemed to look really good today, and it was the quarterbacks that seemed to have struggled a little bit, but there were still some flashes of good things. And Kevin O'Connell speaking on it after the game, saying that there's a reason why we're playing all three of them. As far as I like what that means in the overall competition, I would just say it's still open and we're trying to figure out what that room is going to look like for the season. But I do like all the players a lot. And this is just speaking on the QB2 competition of how they want this to kind of shake up once the regular season gets underway. Talking on the backup quarterbacks as well, saying I just view it right now as we've got to learn about these guys. We got to try to see who's able to go in there and function and execute the offense. I'm well aware sometimes the circumstances aren't perfect, so you take that into account, but you're looking for just the traits that out of those guys. And yes, we've seen a lot of them, how they've been rotating in and out of this roster, and Max Brosmer playing in both games as well. Sam Howell playing in both games, Brett Rippon. So they're all getting their opportunities. It's not just one guy getting most of the opportunities in the preseason. It's been a very healthy dose and a very good balance on all parts. Particularly Sam Howell, not so much because of the poor play. We're going to touch on that in a second. But talking about the quarterback play on New England, saying that Brett Rippon did some good things. Obviously, Sam had some tough circumstances, and we were a couple plays here and there early in that group, but from maybe sustaining drives a little bit more. There was a lot of some frustrating drives where it was either taking a sack or not getting a playoff, or just having a run just be stuffed for negative yards. There was some really shaky offense on both sides. There were some really good screen passes that were executed. I know that's not too much to get excited about, but like Kevin O'Connell was saying on the broadcast, screen passes are a very underrated and very dangerous play when you can execute it properly and just have all the little details line up, whether it's a lineman being in the proper blocking mechanism, waiting for the screen to develop fully, and having that press coverage where you can just explode out of the side and just have no one there blocking or no one there to tackle you. So there's a lot of things that have to go right into a screen where it's not just a simple kind of dump off play. There's a lot of moving parts to it, and everything has to move in succession and in sync with each other. And then he also talked about Max Brosmer, who is the big topic as far as this game goes, along with Sam Howell for better and for worse. Talking on Brosmer, saying that what I love about Max is that there were some breakdowns up front and maybe couldn't progress and read through the concepts, but he plays with very fast eyes and very rarely puts the ball in harm's way when he's doing it, which is a unique trait. And I definitely agree with him there. There was a lot of throws there that Brosmer was making where it looked like Sam Darnold was throwing those balls. He was placing them perfectly, especially on that final 2-minute drive where he threw that dagger and then threw the long pass over the top. it was really nice to see him just connect on those and throw the ball with confidence, making those reads and those progressions. You can almost see where his vision was going. Maybe that's a bad thing sometimes if the fans can see it on the broadcast. Maybe the players see it on the field on the other side. But nonetheless, he still made some really good reads and good progressions where he looked like a really solid candidate for QB2. And I would feel confident saying that from what we've seen so far, he is who I would want to be our QB2 of the three that we have as potential candidates for it. And talking on him again, saying that dagger throw to Deshaun, I mean, that's just about as stacked against you as it can be. And he throws that well. But well before that pattern had been declared, just things like that he's done, and shows consistently why he's getting the reps that he is. And it seems like of all the quarterbacks to talk about in the press conference, he spent the most time talking about Brosmer and really giving him a big confidence boost, talking about the reps that he's getting, how he's earned those reps, just playing his ass off and placing the ball perfectly, not in harm's way, and just making these sometimes impossible throws. There was also another one that Ty Felton had got tipped up, and then he came down with it and got the toe tap inbounds. There were some really good throws that we saw on both sides from Brett Rypien and from Max Brosmer, and as well as Sam Howell not having a great showing, but still had a decent showing in week 1. Just week 2 was not his day to make a good audition tape for QB2. Hopefully he can kind of turn it around and make this a bit more of a three-way race heading into week 3 or into the final days of the preseason before regular season gets underway, but after that third game, before the final cuts are made. And then talking about moving forward, Kevin O'Connell was saying that across the board, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of things we can correct across our whole team, but the quarterback tends to be the one that when the mistakes are made around them have the greatest impact on your job. So we really got to take a look at it and really assess it. And I think that one right there kind of puts into perspective where Sam Howell kind of fits on this, because when looking at the stats for this game, Sam Howell was not good at all. Obviously 1 for 5 and then having that interception, and that was really what led to the opening kind of scoring in the game, and then New England kind of having that early momentum. But Brosmer and Rypien really played very well, and looking at the step up from the first game as well. Brosmer coming in after throwing 5 for 8 for 47 yards. He did have a bit of an improvement there where 156, he was slinging that thing and completed 15 passes. Brett Rypien as well, 83 yards after coming off of only a very poor performance in week 1. So you kind of see where Sam Howell and Brett Rypien kind of swap places there, where it seems like, if anything, that could be the competition we're looking at for QB3, where Max Brosmer could be the runaway at QB2 because he has been proving to be the most consistent of these three. When you look at the numbers there, he has the most accuracy out of the two. He's been putting up the most yards combined out of the two, or of the three, and he's also averaging pretty decent passing yards there, where 5.9 and 5.8. It's not great, and especially with how Minnesota wasn't really getting a lot of guys breaking out on those massive routes. Brett Rypien was showing some good flashes as well in this game, bouncing back from that last game, and it's going to make a very interesting final game of the preseason against the Tennessee Titans, where this is going to be probably the biggest storyline heading into it. We know that how this offensive line is shaking out. We know how that's going to basically sit for the season. The defense has kind of really solidified itself as far as who's starting, who's not, but it's really kind of seeing where these depth guys are. You saw where there is some special teams moves that have to be made that still remain to be seen, especially with the injury to Rondale Moore. So there could be things that kind of develop over this third game where the special teams could come into a bit more of a solid formation, and then we finally see where this QB room is going to look as far as heading into the regular season. Or we could see the Vikings kind of cut both of them. They might cut Rypien and Howell, keep Brosmer around because he's that hometown undrafted kid, has that chip on his shoulder, and I think Kevin O'Connell is really liking what he sees out of him. Maybe that propels the Vikings to kind of go and look at maybe something like a Drew Lock or something like a Kirk Cousins to trade for as a more solid QB2. However, I still really like the idea of Brosmer really starting to emerge as a surprise QB2 candidate when this guy was not drafted and he was a hometown kid playing for the Minnesota Golden Gophers, and now he's on the Minnesota Vikings as well, and really showing that he proves to stay on this 53-man roster from going through all the stuff in training camp, and the reports coming out that he was really impressing in training camp, and then stepping into games where he was getting a lot more opportunities that he wasn't getting in practice because it was so revolved around JJ McCarthy. It's really awesome to see that when he has been called to go into these games, he is rising to that occasion and he is playing his ass off and playing really well. some of those throws in that 2-minute drill, especially with the pressure being on there to kind of go down the field. I know it ended in that interception, so it did have an unfortunate ending. But that first 75% of that drive before it stalled out in the red zone, it was looking really good, and I was feeling really confident in how he was playing and what we were seeing out of him as far as what the future holds for him. So I think there's a lot of potential with this kid, and I definitely think Kevin O'Connell sees it and wants to keep him around a little bit longer. As for Sam Howell and Brett Rypien, I don't know if I can say the same for them. Brett Rypien, maybe just because he's been around this team a lot longer, and Sam Howell because he just got there. That might be the deciding factor. But let us know what you guys think down in the comments below. Who do you think should be QB2 out of these three? Is it Howell? Is it Brosmer? Is it Rypien? Let us know what you guys think down in the comments below. As always, leave a like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell icon so you don't miss the episodes when they drop. We'll be back at it tomorrow with another video. But for now, I've been your host, Griffin. Take care.